Okay, can we talk about this for a second? Reviewing resumes sounds simple, doesn't it? Until you actually dig into it and you'll find yourself really, really easily overwhelmed.
Yeah, it starts off very optimistic. You genuinely believe you're going to find the right person quickly.
You sit down, coffee ready, you're mentally ready for the day, and you are hopeful that you're finding the right one that same day.
And then you're 10 resumes in, you are focused, you are still paying attention to every detail.
20 in, you start noticing patterns, but suddenly, everything starts blurring together.
And then you're 30 resumes in, everything's starting to sound the same, and it becomes harder to distinguish strong candidates.
And by 50, you're no longer reviewing with intention. You're just really hoping someone stands out.
Yet somehow, you're still fully convinced that this one feels right, even if you're no longer fully processing what you're reading.
Which is exactly why good candidates are missed.
Dun dun dun! And that is our topic for today. And then again, we're here. Welcome all you listeners. Welcome to BizNest.
Hi everyone, my name is Penny and this
is
handsome
Francis.
thing.
Did you say king or thing?
I'm sorry?
Did you say king or thing?
Thing. Hello. So this handsome guy right here is my business partner, Francis. And thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. How's everything, Francis? How are you feeling today?
Everything is amazing. The sun is up. The sun is shining. And we are on our very, very first episode for the 4th season of BizNest. And today we are talking about hiring struggles and how AI is quietly changing the landscape of hiring process. How are your thoughts on hiring, Penny?
Hiring. So let's just, step back a little bit and remember the times when we were the ones doing the hiring for our company. So if everyone just
dun,
so
dun.
dun, dun, dun. That's a different one. But anyway, step back a little bit. I think my experience in hiring has been at this point 2014, actually, starting with you. So 10 years?
I was your first ever hire.
Well, actually, Alex was my first.
Yeah.
The first time, but I was involved in the hiring process, but not entirely. But I do remember having to go ahead and screen all of the resumes from Upwork or Odesk back then. I had to screen all of them and then pick which ones the boss was going to interview. What about you? What's your hiring? Have you done any resume screening? Hiring?
Yeah, for me, it started back in 2006 or 7. So that's a little bit of history right there. But we I was hiring before a lot of people were born now. But in my case, as a lead trainer for a call center account, American Express, whatever, attrition was part of my metrics. And it seems like as soon as you come in, so you have a class of 40 people that you're going to be with for 6 months. So that's a long time to hold on to 40 people, right? Because 6 months is like 4 months of product training and then 2 months of actual floor time. So sometimes as early as week 1, you're already seeing people drop off, including you seeing that, so this is a hopeless basket case. So as I said, we petitioned to do the final hiring process. Like if you're gonna make attrition part of my metrics, then I should have a say on who gets to be in my class. Yeah. So I did, and I actually had to go through a lot of trainings back then as to how to pick the perfect candidate. Although I think,
you did.
but I think way back then, it was really more about, it's English skills. My English skills, yeah. Because I think the class before that, the class before that, somebody said to me, I'm sorry, can I confess to you, my English is not really good. And I was like, Yes. But
So that was the
like,
top thing that you were looking for. Like, I mean, this is for a specific job post, right? But
but
that
this
was the top
was,
thing that you were looking for
yes,
when you
yes.
were,
But remember that this was back in
yeah,
2012. And that's the time when,
yeah.
you know, yeah, it was like sunshine in 2012, 2006. That was like the call centers were fairly new. People
Mm,
thought, people actually worked behind ATMs. It's just,
yeah.
yeah.
But
So,
yeah, so they're a little bit more strict when it comes to sorry, when it comes to English skills and accent, right? Like way back when.
yes,
Yeah.
that was mostly like uh, the core problem. Now,
Mm-hmm.
then again, there are things that we do that we have. There are things that we have concerns about hiring that a lot of people usually consider to be a good thing at the first time. Remember before when we started posting jobs here at Virtua,
Mm-hmm.
and then every time like there's 40 applicants, it's like, oh my god, we, it seems like a really good thing to
Yeah.
go through, that you have a lot of candidates, but then again you find out 40 candidates is 40 candidates. And I know with the advent of AI, that resumes just keep piling up, because now you have AI agents
Yeah. True.
submitting resumes for you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what other problems are you seeing these
Well,
days?
so the reason why I asked us to step back, because I do distinctly remember having to go through a ton of resumes, and it's not just matching whatever is in the job description, right? What they mean by that is that it's not just okay. In the job description, it says customer interactions, right? And then in your resume, it says client conversations. Let's say it's not just going to be the context is the same. What you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
say is the same. So when you go through a resume, you actually are not doing a keyword to keyword match. You're actually going through the context of the resume, looking at their career progression, and then trying to figure out if that'll match with the job post that you have open, right? And so there's a
There's
lot
that.
of mental capacity that needs or at least mental thought and judgment that needs to happen for every single resume, because not like it's fairly or very very sorry, it's very very rare that you will
Yeah.
have a resume that is exactly what your
What the job?
job, yeah, what the job is. So there's a lot of not just reading through the resume, but also like really deciding, will this kind of candidate work for this job post? So, and
Yeah,
then having to do
and
that,
then
right?
oh, sorry. Yeah, and then I was gonna say, and then some resumes say, um, additional talents singing. It's like you really need to see that. But one of my other top things is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're ready. You have a coffee in your hand. You're reviewing the
Mm-hmm.
resumes, and then when you've gone through several resumes, and even during the actual hiring process, like say for example, if you had 10 interviews today, you start the day and you're very very hopeful, and then
Mm.
what's your mental state with every hiring, or you know were you more stringent at the beginning, or you'd become less stringent with your hiring towards the end? Like sometimes that when he comes in, oh, the English is good, yeah, I'll take this one over the other one. Like, are your standards the same with each and every interview? And
I
i
will
i
never
always
tell.
want
No.
I was, I was, I've always wondered if that was the case with me. Like, did I do a great pick? Like when you have somebody
Yeah.
who stayed with you for years and years and years and years and blew everybody off, you kind of want to say, I hired that person. But then again, what about all the other people, that little gems that you might have missed?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
True.
Virtua's problems during scaling, it went from I can do the hiring, and then it went to we need to split it off between the two of us, and then it became, we need people too.
to
do this
screen
for
for us.
us.
And I think with our type of business, which is outsourcing, most of there are going to be times where it's not just one job post that we have up, right? So you can
Yeah,
just imagine having several job posts up, and then having a ton of resumes for each of those job posts. You could just imagine how much time is actually spent for just resume screening. As far as I can remember our HR team previously, before we did the case studies in the projects and all, it took them, I believe, 4 hours to go through 100 resumes manually.
Yeah,
It
it
took
was very
them
manual.
that long. And just mind you, like, just thinking about 100 resumes tires me out, like, right away.
Yeah. Yeah, and you remember the part when we stopped doing this. This is when we really started letting go of letting delegating.
Yeah.
A lot of I don't know if you remember this during the meetings, like when they're doing the screening or the initial interviews, the fact that we said, yes, we have to be more scalable in the sense that give us the final interviews for accountability with the client. But at the back of my head, if these are the people I'm interviewing, who are the people that I don't get to interview? If you
Yeah.
remember that,
Yes.
those early conversations when I said, be very, very stringent with your hiring. Don't be too strict that you might miss the actual gems. Like there's a careful balance between communication skills, which we
Yes.
again used to value very, very much back then because we're dealing with overseas clients, but at the same time having the actual skills to do the job. And to do the job, you can't just have do people still call people am boys or am girls these days?
No, they don't.
You remember the term? Like, did I just
Yes.
go too far back and inhabited my old self? I just
Oh my God, it's been a while since I heard that term, but okay.
yeah. But now, how things have changed. From process to the tools to I didn't even I've never touched Indeed as a hiring platform.
Same. Well, previously, like, what I meant was you and I have not posted on Indeed before. But ever since
Yeah.
we've had an HR team, now we're all we're using all of these job boards, right? To get.
I mean, the job street, Indeed, LinkedIn. I'm familiar with LinkedIn. I've actually looked for jobs in Job Street back then, but Indeed
I thought you were
never.
looking for a
Sorry.
job right now, and I'm like, what?
No, apologies to Indeed. Nothing against you, but I've actually only ever heard of Indeed through our HR people. I've never had to open Indeed.com.
Yes.
But I mean, thank goodness it's a good problem to have, sure. But we did by going through the platform when Lara was discussing it with us. But other things, my other biggest worry is when they introduced an AI agent to screen
An AI tool,
resumes.
not an
An
agent,
AI
but an
tool.
AI tool to screen resumes.
What's the difference? Oh, sorry. Yeah, an AI tool to screen and that was hot off the time when, things were starting to go awry with everybody suddenly hopping on the AI bandwagon. They were firing whole departments because entire departments to replace them with AI chatbots, and then said, yeah, but that was right at the time when an HR department found out that they were skipping 95% of their candidates because of the wrong keyword
Yeah.
search, or it interpreted the instructions wrong.
But the thing is, that was way like as far as how AI in terms of resume screening has evolved. It's not now based on keywords. They have kind of evolved, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember there was an event that I did attend about 2 to 3 years ago, and that was one of the things that everyone was kind of worried about. Not just like what if the keyword isn't in the resume? Does that mean that this candidate does not pass?
It does not pass.
Right?
Is it a
But
red flag or a green flag to not have that keyword? Yeah.
yes, and now that they've kind of, as far as I remember, now they kind of integrate with LLMs. And so it's not just by keyword anymore that resume screening actually works, but it's based on context. So, for example, if in your resume you say, I was in charge of growing revenue with through customer interactions,
Yeah.
let's say,
And
then
now
the
they
job
do
post
love
is
to do that. They do love to
yes,
do that.
yes, they do.
The cover letters used to be, I worked as part of a customer service group. Now I work in the intersection of like, seriously, I work at the intersection of human connection and technology. Like,
But
seriously, is
the
that
good
supposed
thing,
to,
the
that's
good thing
supposed to
now
sound
with AI is
impressive?
that they don't take that face value anymore. So if in the
Yeah.
job description it says that it's customer success, and in your resume it's client interactions, they can now actually connect those both of
Make the
those things,
connection.
make the
Yeah.
connection. Yeah.
That was amazing. I find that amazing, but it must have taken a while and must have taken like a few iterations of 2.0 before that was like, we need to find the need to do this, like other data points to say, when I say customer success manager, you say you're saying account manager, but actually your job description fits success manager. So yeah, but what did it do for everybody? For as in all things technology, it did good things and bad things. Where it used to take our team 4 hours to go through X number of resumes. It reduced them from 4 hours to one,
To one
and
hour.
to 1 hour. I mean, thank goodness. I think at some point the team was worried that, are we gonna lose people because because of the efficiency. But I thought, we thought, now you can do other things as opposed to saying, oh, then we can remove other people, which I was
I
a little bit
think
worried about that.
I think the good thing that our team did was that after trying to implement it once, they did go back and review all of the resumes again. So it's not
Yeah.
just the resumes that were passed through by AI, but also the resumes that didn't go through, and why didn't it go through, and then also talk to the hiring managers or whoever was holding the account and see and find out what their feedback is. And then they went back to the tool to kind of say, okay, hold on, let's change the filters a little bit more, because they did
Yeah.
notice that some good candidates are being missed. So I think that's the good practice that
Yeah.
they did.
I mean,
start
that was
to.
that was the thing that was missing
Yeah, yeah.
in that cycle before the audit bit. Then let's see how we did. How can we make it improve further? Which is admittedly one of Virtua's core principles in terms of executing strategy. That I think that was the earliest bits. I mean, I kind of still remember all it was a lot of those early AI mishaps. I don't know if you remember that. I don't know if you remember that case where there were two lawyers who built their entire legal brief through AI.
Okay. And then what happened?
I mean, they got fired because that was a time when AI was largely hallucinating. Like, it looked like a very professional brief, but then it started spouting nonsense, and then like, tada! It was so obvious that this was ChatGPT 1.0. Like, Google it. It was really, really funny. But yes, so which made it for me. It made me very, very hesitant about the adoption. I might have been one of the last people, surprisingly, to adopt AI, other than the occasional just using it like how Google would have done it and trusting the results a bit more, but not in the way where you would go, here's my email, can you make it sound more professional? Can you make it sound more? I mean, I think I had way more faith. I had way more faith in how I'd put things together until yada da. I saw the light, or maybe it's just maybe quite literally my age that you get to that point where cassette to CD and you don't trust. I don't trust them newfangled technology.
Yeah. No, I remember you do have a lot of quite a few bit hesitations with AI, just because it did come to a point where people kind of started, losing humans, or at least removing people because they think that AI could replace all of those people, and so there was this like it's a new thing, maybe we should all try it, and then bigger companies start removing people, and then now they're all backtracking, taking a step back and saying, okay, let's rehire some people back in because AI cannot actually do everything. And I think that's also one of the hesitations that people have with AI right now, is that as much as we put a lot of, well, not everyone actually, but there are a ton of people who do think that AI can revolutionize a lot of our workflows and processes.
That you can be a one person company now and just implement AI agents all throughout. But understandably, the early adopters would be the one to both blaze the trail or burn the bridge. In terms of like new technology. I remember it during I just sound like an old person.
You are.
I am. How dare you?
I absolutely understand your point where now, like, because you've kind of tested the limitations of this tool, right? That you've kind of started testing out and doing the implementation in real life. Now you find out what the limitations are and up until what scope is actually possible, right? And that's when you kind of backtrack and get more people in, or at least get the human factor in your processes. So I do get that the early adopters are like that, but then who would
push the limits? Who would say, "Oh, we did this, and then we found out the hard way that that's not the thing to do," and then, But like I said, somebody has to jump,
true,
and possibly die. For some people, say let's not do that.
Okay.
Or on the other hand, so for some people to jump and make it to the other side, or jump and say, "Look, the water's fine," or be eaten by a shark to say, "Nope, not there." It's necessary, and I think for me, it's either I'm one of those people who wouldn't jump that far ahead until you see other people make it through first, right? So there's a fine line between, okay, guys, it's safe to do, it's monkey see, monkey do. So I think in our case, we escaped maybe the earliest adoptions. Maybe during hiring, we're not missing the candidates because we already found out that people who went in too early were skipping essential hiring things, that
kind of did change because we started doing AI projects, like amidst of all of everything that's happening. We did not change our workflows. Like, I think the first 2 years of ChatGPT existing, but we did start doing the AI projects last year. So it did flip for Virtua quite a bit, where it's like, okay, let's see what others are doing, to, hey, let's go ahead and test this out. I think the reason why we started doing that is that we kind of need to know for ourselves, like, how it was going to be implemented. Plus, AI is always evolving anyway. So what they could have been doing before, AI is going to be different now. Like, the tooling is also different, the workflows, the processes, even the types of AI. Right now, we have agentic AI. But in terms of hiring, the hesitation I also have heard about in terms of hiring resume screening is the unconscious bias that can be programmed into AI.
Yeah, but we also had to where we had to unlearn most of it. We just had to give it as guidelines. Like, don't pay attention to the skills. Don't pay attention to, and it's great that it's an agent looking through it that can actually skip the bias. And you remember these old conversations that we've had. In the Philippines, it's pretty homogenous, but in the US, a lot of times, your name can be a bias during hiring. Like, certain names. I could probably be honest about it. African sounding names tend to be skipped and put at the back of the pile. For example, images can be used, schools can be used, halo effect can be used. See, I remember that conversation, our unconscious bias.
Explain what halo effect is for
Halo
those who
effect
don't
is
know.
when people are pretty.
Okay.
The halo effect is when people are pretty and you think, you know what? He looks like the perfect hire.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's exactly how it is. Like, or even they went to this school, so they should be.
They should be trustworthy, good, or
Yeah.
I trust people who come from this school, or they come from this background or that background. So, and we understand that that's the case, but in largely international where the skills should shine through, then it becomes a problem. But
Yeah.
yes, going back to what did it do for us, the ones that you would overall say these are the actual benefits that putting ourselves through an AI driven hiring process do.
Are you asking
Hello.
me?
I thought I was asking you. Let's just say, like, in my case, I remember when we were going through the process, I would say a lot of the mental clarity remains when you've already screened through candidates. Like,
Yeah.
here are the best of the best. You, uh, Admittedly, part of the strain that makes me question my judgment is when you have to go through a ton of resumes and you have limited time to hire. Right?
Yes.
And you have to go through, because you kind of want to give yourself. So two things that I didn't want to do back then is to have to go through all of those resumes and then they start to blur together.
Yeah.
Or I run into the first great resume that I have
And what
that
you
I
want to
find.
stop?
And I desperately want to stop because it's I found the person. I don't need the rest. The part of you, the curiosity is like, but what if there's somebody greater? Which is a problem in and of itself. Sometimes you kind of have to trust your gut. And I went through. I know you don't do that. You'd go through everything. But admittedly, I talked myself into thinking, no, I trust my gut. This is the right candidate. Tell everybody we're done.
No, because it takes a lot out of you. And then you still have to do the interviews, and then you still have to do the assessments, and then you still
And the
have
final
to
decision.
follow, right? So the hiring
Even if
process,
you end up with just four, great people for the role, you're literally, which one? It's like choosing somebody to marry.
so I do think that in terms of hiring, resume screening is going to be one of those things that are the first ones to be automated or to be where people will be using AI, because it does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of time. And when we want to deliver value to clients, we want to deliver it quickly, right? Like, if you're hiring for your company, you want this person right away, because most of the time when you do the job post, you actually needed that person yesterday. Right. Same goes with our clients. Sometimes when we have these conversations and discovery calls, they need this resource right away. And so it does
they
make
needed it
sense that resume
yesterday.
screening is one of those things that are going to be automated right away.
Because you need, the sooner you get to a warm body, the better. But as I keep mentioning, these resources that we're talking about are warm bodies. They're a finite supply, and I think very, very seriously that resource in terms of quality has changed over the years, whether for the better or for the worse. You know what we're talking about. Like they've changed in the sense that the my God, I keep talking like an old person.
I don't know about
Sometimes
you. You've
I
been
but
nostalgic, I
I
guess.
am being nostalgic, but I keep telling myself before that we kind of don't make them like we used to. No, no, we don't make them
Humans?
like they used to. No, but there's a certain resilience that I'm looking for that used to be part of my work ethic that that kind of isn't there anymore. But at the same time, you recognize that you're not supposed to be asking for those things anymore. Like,
Yo, true,
I need
true.
you to be available at the drop of a hat. I need you to be able to push through deadlines. I need you to work when I say work, jump when I say jump. And we know that that's not healthy in terms of work-life balance. But did the times change? Did the people change? Sometimes I see somebody and say, I see a reflection of myself in you, and it's a great reflection. No, I'm kidding. But more, but the for me, the truth of the matter is the landscape evolves and the people evolves. You don't want to waste going through resources, just because of your, go and because you're an outsourcing agency, you also kind of want to leave a good impression on everybody. Like we just want to give them a good, we're not screening through them in terms of good or bad people, employees, potential employees or contractors anymore. We're looking for right fit candidates, which means every one of these candidates can still potentially be people that you will be working with in the future, right? So you don't want to just blow through resumes. You want, you sort of want to treat them with resume number 1, resume number 2, resume number 3, resume number 575, and hopefully be able to go back to those resumes in the future and say, you know what, I interviewed you before, or I went through your resume before, you were the right fit before, but you seem to be the right fit now, because eventually, what if they, right. But yeah, but what does that mean? Better cataloging systems, better screening processes, better ways to say, based on our hiring strategy, this person is mid or a great fit. We just don't have the right job for you. And eventually, maybe when the right job comes, then you already sort of did the job of going through it kind of becomes lead generation.
Okay,
For us.
you're going to have a talent pool ready because you've gone through the resumes. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and you didn't, you treated them like a lead generation process, properly documented, catalog. We can always go back to, here's a job and here's a list of, and, even if they applied for a different role back then, it'd be nice to, and you can't do this in your head. Like, remember that one person who didn't quite fit the customer service role, but actually had so and so skill sets. So yeah, so in my case, when we started doing that bit where the cataloging, am I saying that right? Screening through the candidates more efficiently, and you can now literally go through them and say, I need a list of candidates who mentioned this skill set, and you can always remember that. You'll always be like, I remember that one candidate that we interviewed back then. So it's great. In my head, it's amazing. As long as you have the safeguards in place that you audit heavily how how the AI works, how that appreciate the fact that you're less fatigued and can make better decisions with how the automation goes. So yeah, that's my take on it. But what does the audience think?
Yeah. Would you be okay if AI was screening your resume? Or if your company, will you actually use AI for screening resumes?
It is two things, isn't it?
Yeah.
You might find out. What if you find out that so and so company was using AI? Do I even want to waste the effort to throw in my? Would I
no,
trust?
you'll be smart. You'll use AI to
I'll
generate
use
your
AI
resume.
to trick AI. Oh my
And
god!
then,
What
you
are
know what?
people doing? If the
No,
AI
no.
is submitting the resume and then the AI is
It's
screening
the resume.
yeah, and
You know what I've read just very recently? There are so what other people are telling applicants to do is to actually is to structure the resume so that it's easier to be read by AI, just to safeguard the part or protect the part where, okay, if we don't know who's using an AI resume screening tool, but just in case they do, might as
Yeah.
well structure my resume in a way where
To be
AI
AI
can actually read it,
friendly.
right?
Yeah, I mean AI should be able to read it when they become the overlords. Yeah, but audience, please
Yeah.
feel free to
What's
share
your
your
take on it?
thoughts.
Are you okay with AI screening your resume? Or if you're a company, will you use AI to screen resumes? Please comment down
Yeah,
below or message us in any of our socials. We'll compile all of them and then discuss them in the next episodes. We'll go ahead and do
yeah,
that.
please. Now, from a hiring perspective, I just suddenly realized if I was the one doing that, how, I mean, it does present a few more problems, right? I know we're
Yeah.
wrapping up, but maybe it's food for thought that if people are now using AI to screen, obviously people are using AI to make better resumes.
Yeah.
But how much of the CV now is the actual person and how much is fluff? Because if you can't put your own, I mean, I suppose there's also back then there's also professional, people who would professionally make CVs for you. I mean, I do remember resume coaches.
Yes. Yes, there were. But they
Yeah,
still
but
are.
now
There still are. Yeah.
and now they're AI agents and say, "I'll take your CV and make it look like." I mean, it kind of makes you look 100 feet taller than you actually are. But how much of that is the real person anymore? How much can you get resume catfished?
Uh, there's a possibility. Actually, I'm not gonna deny. There is a possibility that you can be catfish, but I guess that's where the human thing comes in, where it's not just
Yeah.
screening resumes. It's also the interviews. It's also the assessments. It's also the simulations. Right?
Okay,
Rather than
okay, okay.
just
You made me. Yeah. Okay, you restored my faith very, very quickly. I just realized. The AI resume is a Tinder profile, and the interview is the first date. Yes,
yeah. I
you very,
mean,
very quickly
okay.
figure out
The
this.
analogies that
Do
are
they
coming out of you,
match?
sometimes I'm like, I'm trying to be wholesome here. I
It
mean, we
is
can we can be
also.
not safe for work after the podcast.
Wait,
But
what did
no,
I
but
say?
yes, okay. I'm saying yes to that analogy.
Yeah, but what did I say? What did I say? Did I say a different app?
No, you did say the right app.
Okay, I did, but I feel like it's as wholesome as it gets. It's I presented myself in this way, but as soon as you get to the first date,
What did what?
that
Okay, what app
facade
did you say? I might
crumbles.
have misheard it. That's probably why my
Tinder.
Tinder, right?
I did say Tinder. Is it a bad
Yeah.
app?
No, it's.
Okay, never mind. Never mind.
Moving on.
Alright,
Let's get back to what we're talking about.
yes, but that's exactly what that I feel like that's literally the end of it. AI um is supposed to be seen as a tool to improve the hiring process,
Yeah,
not not
replace it.
not become
Yeah,
the process itself. It's supposed to bump up the people who are making the decisions, the people who are overseeing the entire process, not an AI hiring department. Teams that understand how to do this, I feel, will move faster as opposed to the teams who moved too fast and said, "No, what we can do without humans." They ended up backtracking, right? And I feel like with that, we still need to hear everybody's thoughts and comments on it. Please feel free to reach out to us, and of course, follow Virtua Solutions Outsourcing on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
and join the conversation. Listen to Business on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout,
Apple
and
Podcasts.
YouTube. Yeah. So
Yes,
thank you so
and
much, everyone, for
audience.
tuning in. This I am again Penny.
And this is Francis. Imagine if I
Thank you
was an
so much,
AI.
guys, for listening in. We'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.
This is season 4, guys. It's back to us. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.